Welcome to Virat HD YouTube channel. In today's video, I will show you about the elements fire. What are the elements of fire? Elements of fire are heat, fuel, and oxygen. Heat, fuel, and oxygen are the three components required to ignite a fire. The fire triangle, an illustration of the interdependence of the elements required to start and maintain a fire, is believed to have these three elements. Fire diagrams. There are two types of diagrams used to describe the structure of a fire and the way it is extinguished. They are fire triangle and tetrahedron. A triangle of fire is a simple, schematic representation of the three basic elements needed to create a fire: fuel, heat, and oxygen. If one of the three basic elements is missing, the fire will go out. A study of the behavior of fire shows that a chemical chain reaction is required to create and sustain the fire. This research result became the basis for the creation of a tetrahedron of fire. A fire tetrahedron describes a fire that contains different materials and the fire extinguishers used to extinguish the fire. In addition to combustible materials, oxygen, and heat, there must be a chain of chemical reactions for a fire to occur. Other materials will have an effect on ignition and growth, such as gypsum building material, wet combustible materials. Heat energy. Heat is one of the required elements to create and sustain a fire. It is a form of energy found in both fire triangle and tetrahedron. Heat is kinetic energy transferred from substances of higher temperature to substances of lower temperature. Because heat is kinetic energy, it is always transferred from one place, a burning fire or flame, to another, a combustible material. Heat is required to cause combustible materials to release their potential chemical energy. Heat causes the molecules in a combustible material to move. When the molecules break down and release a vapor, gas, the vapor can ignite and release heat energy. This new source of thermal energy heats up other combustibles and changes their energy, from potential energy to kinetic energy, causing the fire to spread. Heat transferring ways. Heat is transferred from a hotter object to a colder object, but not between objects of the same temperature. Heat is transferred from one body to another in three ways. These are conduction, convection, and radiation. Heat can also be transferred between people and objects. 1. Conduction. Conduction is the transfer of heat between solids. It is occurring when a substance is heated through direct contact with a heat source. 2. Convection. Convection is the transfer of heat energy through the movement of liquid or gas molecules. In a fire, heat is transferred upward through hot smoke or gases from the fire. Heat transfer occurs from the hot fuel gas to the colder parts of the building, to materials inside the building, and to cooler air. It can occur in any direction. 3. Radiation. Radiation is the transmission of energy such as electromagnetic waves, light waves, radio waves, X-rays, etc., without an interfering device. Sunlight can be the primary heat transfer agent. As the size of the fire increases, it has a significant role in causing the objects located at a certain distance from the fire to be ignited. Fuel. This is also the second element needed to create fire. Fuels are a substance that burns in the process of combustion. Combustion reduces the amount of oxygen by increasing the number of electrons. Combustible materials are divided into carbonaceous, made of living matter, and non-carbonaceous, made of non-living matter such as hydrogen, magnesium, etc. These fuels can be further divided into hydrocarbon fuels, gasoline, petroleum, and plastics, and fibrous fuels, wood and paper. Fuels that exist in one of the three states of matter. These are gas, liquid, and solid. 1. Flammable gases. Flammable gases such as hydrogen, methane, and acetylene are the most dangerous of all combustibles because they are in a flammable state. 2. Combustible and flammable liquids. Unlike gases, liquids do not expand to fill a container. When liquid material flows to the ground, it descends to low areas and forms a puddle in the basin. Liquids with a specific gravity of less than 1, gasoline and most flammable liquids, are lighter than water and can float on top of water. Liquids must evaporate to ignite. Evaporation is the process of turning a liquid into a gas. For evaporation to take place, the pressure of the air in which the liquid is present must exceed atmospheric pressure. When a liquid is heated, The vapor pressure increases along with the vapor velocity. A liquid's easy conversion to vapor can easily affect or pressure a liquid to ignite fire. 3. Solid fuels. Solids have their own shape and size. Solids can change into different forms when exposed to heat. Some solids, such as wax, metal, plastic, etc., easily change their shape, content, and melt, while other solids, wood, etc., may not change easily. When solid fuels are heated, combustible gases may be released as a result of chemical decomposition or transformation of the constituents by heat. In the presence of sufficient flammability and heat, the chemical reaction may release flammable gas in the presence of sufficient oxygen or another source of oxygen. A chemical reaction must occur to produce the combustible gases or vapors required for combustion. As a substance, wood, heats up, the wood can start to undergo chemical changes and turn into gases and carbon. Oxygen. Oxygen is the third thing required to start a fire. About 21% of air is made up of oxygen, and most fires need at least 16% of oxygen to burn. The chemical reactions that take place during fire are aided by oxygen. Fuel burns by reacting with the oxygen in the air around it to produce combustion products, embers, smoke, and gases, and heat. We call this process oxidation. Types of ignitions. There are two types of ignitions. These are ignition of flammable materials by fire/spark and spontaneous ignition from any ignition source. Combustion is most common when combustible materials and oxygen gain enough heat from an external heat source or thermal energy to start the combustion process. Auto-igniting means that they ignite by their own heat without any spark. No external heat source, such as a fire or spark, is required to ignite these flammable materials or gases. In this type of ignition, combustible materials are chemically heated to a temperature where the combustion process can begin. Auto-ignition temperature is the minimum temperature at which combustible materials must be heated in air in order for them to ignite on their own. A substance's auto-ignition temperature is always greater than its ignition temperature. Combustibles require an external heat source or spark to ignite, while self-ignition requires the combination of critical conditions to start a fire. In the next video, I will prepare a video with fire classes. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like my channel.